The Cleveland Browns currently have 5 quarterbacks on their roster, which makes absolutely zero sense for any NFL team, well, besides the Cleveland Browns. So who are the 5? You have Deshaun Watson, whose contract is at $230 million. And let's just face it, give him a Google, he is not a good guy. Next up is Kenny Pickett. Yep, you heard it right. After 2 years with the Steelers, he became a Super Bowl champion. Now, did he play in that game? Yes, he did play in that game. Did he have any real meaningful impact? Well, for anyone who bet over 2.5 players to throw a ball, yes, he did. Outside of that, no, he did not. Then you have Joe Flacco, who was already back up there, not this year, but the previous year. He has some familiarity, and he's also a Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl talent with the Browns. And now, here's where it gets really interesting. They drafted 2 quarterbacks, which makes absolutely zero sense. They start off with Dillon Gabriel out of Oregon, which, okay. And then they went with the person who's dropping drastically, kind of like the opposite of the Price is Right guy, Shedeur Sanders. His stock is bad. So why does Cleveland actually have 5 quarterbacks? Well, it's pretty simple. It's because they're hedging their bet with Deshaun Watson. So Deshaun Watson has been playing, I don't know how you would say it, terrible football. These are his stats from last year. He went 1-6 with only completing 63.4% of his passes. He threw for 5 touchdowns, but then 3 interceptions. Got sacked 4.7 times a game. Had a passer rating of 79, which is terrible, and a QBR of 23.4, which is somehow worse than terrible. You can tell last year when he was playing, he was erratic, and he looked uncomfortable. He looked very uncomfortable out there last year. You can tell because he took 1,000,000,001 sacks. Now, he only played 7 weeks, thankfully for every single Browns fan out there because we had Snowtime Jameis, but he ended his season early because he got a ruptured Achilles, which he is very injury prone. I don't know how he's coming back from that. Besides the fact that he's playing terribly, let's break down his contract. It's actually worth $230 million, and he's due $92 million in the next 2 years. So the Browns are in a bit of a financial trap. So that's why this offseason, they got their insurance policies. Kenny Pickett, he started for the Steelers, was a solid backup for the Eagles, but not quite ready to be a starter. But that's what it was looking like coming up to the draft. Then they got Joe Flacco as well. For a 1-year deal, he kind of seems almost more like a coach than a quarterback to me, but whatever. These are their 2 insurance policies. Then they drafted some players. So they drafted Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. But if we're looking at everyone individually, Deshaun Watson cost too much money, washed up, terrible aura, terrible vibes, get him out of here. Then you have Joe Flacco, who let's just be honest, is a little bit too old to be in the league. He rocks. I'm a big fan, but you got to know when it's time to hang up the cleats. Next is Kenny Pickett. He had a couple chances to prove himself, but it doesn't look like he's getting it done, especially with all this young talent invested that they have in these 2 picks coming up. Dillon Gabriel. Now, Dillon Gabriel, no one anticipated him to go this early. He was a top 5 quarterback in the draft, but no one thought he was going to go way before Shedeur Sanders. And Shedeur Sanders, having him come to the team as well as Dillon Gabriel, is going to cause a lot of controversy. But what are these 2 things not have in common? No one really knows who Dillon Gabriel is. You do if you're in the sports world, but Shedeur Sanders has a huge following, and that is key to selling tickets. First, you want a good team that can win to sell tickets. Then you want someone with a large following who fans love so they can come to the game. So since Shedeur Sanders can push in tickies, he's definitely more important than Dillon Gabriel to the Browns. So big picture, what does this all look like? They're going to have to make some type of adjustments. I think Dillon Gabriel is probably going to go down in the practice squad. We can see them using Kenny Pickett as midseason trade bait to someone else. But overall, I see them, figuring whatever they need to do with Deshaun Watson, get him out of here, and then moving forward with Shedeur Sanders underneath Joe Flacco. So Joe Flacco's going to kind of show him the reins. Shedeur Sanders is going to play and develop within Cleveland, kind of like if you had a Tamagotchi. So there you have it. They drafted 5 questionable quarterbacks. It makes no sense to me, but I'm excited to see what they're going to do next because they are always a spin the wheel and see what happens type of team.